Wolfpack Nation, thank you so much for tuning back in here for part 2 of our discussion here. Again, not necessarily having a topic here per se that we're talking about, but really just wanted to kind of talk a little bit in terms of our, how we grew our fandom from the beginning times for NC State, some of our favorite moments from the history, which kind of helped grow our fandom from NC State as well. And we also too shared an awesome story as well about one of our followers' fandom as well. So if you haven't checked out part 1 yet, make sure to go give that a follow, check that out first. And also to make sure to as well hit that subscribe button. Again, hey, it's free to do, and also to make sure that you don't miss out whenever we release new content, and also to whenever we do any of our live streaming content as well. And make sure as well to also give us a follow, Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter and Instagram. Also to make sure to please help us and hit that like button so that way more State fans are able to see this content. So kind of taking a look back as well. So I know that, Michael, you said that you'd worked some Mark Gottfried camps as well on one of the Keats camps. And so, and you said that you were even a referee for, you had to referee some games as well. So, when you were working as, kind of the inside a little bit there, was it an experience that kind of helped you kind of understand a little bit more about kind of how the nuts and bolts work from the inside? Because that's one thing. So I'll definitely say that during my time working as equipment manager, it gave me a lot of insight in terms of, what do the normal outside fans not see, like in terms of what these players go through, what these coaches go through, these staff goes through. It's ridiculous,
Yeah, no, you're spot on. I mean, it's like I really, even though it was Mark Gottfried and Kevin Keats' camps, like they really weren't there all that much. They'd, maybe show up in the morning, talk to the kids, and maybe show up one more time in the afternoon before they left.
Yeah.
But it was pretty much run by a whole bunch of other people. The director of basketball operations, forget his name now, which is bad, but he was one pretty much coordinating everything with the student managers and really there, like you said, there's just a whole bunch of people involved behind the scenes to make any type of athletic program work.
Absolutely. Well, because again, that's one thing which I want to make a statement here on it by saying that if there is no equipment staff, if there is no training staff, if there is no operations staff, there is no team. Simple as that. I mean, at the end of the day, there's so many things that go into a college football game, into a college basketball game, even that fans don't even think about. That, you think from an equipment staff perspective, especially if you haven't been a part of equipment staff, really seen how they work, you just think, oh, well, they just, they make the guys look good. But at the end of the day, too, it's not only about, protection as well in terms of, but also to organizing, cleaning as well, making sure everything's ready to go, make sure everything looks good, because obviously, football helmets specifically, they get scratched up, they get marked up. And at the end of the day, we can't have a helmet like Drake Thomas or Tanner Ingle out there with all these black scratches and all that jazz, all the helmet. Like, it takes some time, to clean those things up. And so that's one helmet. Yeah. And then you got, 119 other helmets to clean on top of it, So, I mean, and again, that's just the helmets on top of, whether it's, players, getting injured, so they need to add something to their equipment, or whether it's they want to make a change to their shoulder pads, whatever it is. There's a lot of work that goes into it from equipment staff. And then on top of, you're having to, like Country says, like he always has to think like 2-3 years ahead.
Yeah.
So, whether it's ordering equipment, whether it's talking about new alternate uniforms, things like that. So not only have to think ahead, but also you have to think ahead in terms of like the away game coming up. You have to pack trunks, you have to make sure all that's ready. So there's so much that goes into it, from even just from equipment side, which I know because that's where I came from. But again, I mean, you add that into operations, whether it's, getting hotels ready, whether it's, getting transportation ready. You have to work with the local, authorities because, we have to get, police escorts, to and from all of our, whether it's from the airport to the hotel, from the hotel to the game, whatever it is.
Right.
Because one thing I'll say as well, which is kind of a funny thing, is that, when I was hired to work for NC State football equipment, Country would tell me that we work towards bowl games, like bowl games are where we have fun. And that is where we, that is what we work towards. And I'll tell you right now, in the Country, I hope you're listening to this, but I did not look forward to bowl games, but really in the big picture of it, because holy smokes, it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
It was so much work. It was crazy. Which, I mean, so yeah, I mean, like there were times, like, you know, the small percentages where, yeah, there were some really fun times, like, you know, where you got to go out, you know, at nights and go hang out at the town. And, you know, like obviously the bowl game itself is really cool, you know, going to see some of the events, things like that. But that's only like, you know, a couple percentages of the entire bowl game experience, which for me, you know, for most of pretty much the entire equipment staff was a lot of work. Because, you know, because one thing as well, which I want to remind fans as well, is that so basically up until a day or two before the bowl game starts, we have practices. And so most of the time we have to set up these practice locker rooms, usually in like a ballroom of the hotel room.
Yeah.
And so basically you're having to set up an entire locker room in a ballroom. So you have to have all the chairs lined up. You have to put all the bags out, have all the equipment set up, have all the training tables, you know, equipment tables, whatever it may be, at wherever it needs to be. Then you have to pack it all up and move it to the actual locker room for the game. And then once the game gets done, then you have to pack that all up and then go home. So again, it's a lot of work. And also too, on not only on getting the locker room ready, but also to getting the hotel ready, because you have to, you know, because you have to get all the hotel rooms ready. You know, like we help operations getting all the hotel rooms ready, get them all organized and ready for the players and the coaches and the coaches' families and all that jazz to get there. And then also too, we have to go get the practice field ready, because we bring all our practice stuff with us. So like all of our jugs machines, all of our blocking, you know, bags, all of your, you know, all that jazz. And so we have to go to the practice field and get that all stuff ready and jazz as well. And then, so again, that's a lot. It's a lot of work.
And that's why you couldn't just, you know, this season with the Holiday Bowl, you couldn't just call up another team and say, hey, come out and play us.
Come out and play us. So yeah, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. And so, and again, too, I mean, I feel for the equipment staff and for all the staff that put all this work in, you know, but I mean, obviously the players as well, there's no doubt, because they put hours in, they took time away from their families as well. But again, I even want to put a huge shout out to the operations staff, the equipment staff, and the training staff that, you know, did all this time. Also too, preparing, thinking, spending time away for that result that you did all this work for to not even take place, you know? So it's so, but, yeah, so it was a lot, but, you know, so let me ask as well, because, you know, obviously one team in specific that I'm sure will always bring up maybe some stories, and maybe we'll bring some stories to mind. UNC down the road. I mean, I know for me, I have a couple of stories off the top of my head that come to mind, you know, that are that I always think of when it comes to UNC. Now, the one thing which I will say is that in terms of any cuss words or any of that jazz which were involved in any of those stories cannot be shared here on Tuffy Talk. But if there are any PG versions of any stories which you can think of, Greg or Michael, I would love to hear them.
I mean, I wish I had a story for Carolina.
Really?
I mean, no, I'm just kidding, because obviously that's where my leg happened. But
I was going to say.
So funny story. My license plate. I have an NC State license plate issued by the Virginia DMV, and it is H as in hotel 8 UNC. So my license plate says hate UNC.
Nice.
And I actually saw my brother from another mother. His was UNC hate, and so he actually lives in Northern Virginia too. So I was like,
nice.
that's my plate. So like we always like every time we'll see each other, we'll throw some wolves up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really my big one for UNC. Yeah, my license plate runs deep. Of course, you know the leg story. A few years ago, we went to we actually went to Chapel Hill. The first time I'd actually been to Keenan. That was when Reggie scored the winning touchdown in overtime, and then the brawl happened in the end zone right after that. So so that one was but honestly, I was just thinking about this like this year. I've never been to a UNC basketball game.
Really?
Yeah, never been to UNC or Duke. But actually, I'm going to go this year to the UNC game. So obviously, we're living in Northern Virginia. We only come down for the weekend games. So unless it falls on a weekend, we don't normally make it. So this is like the first time that UNC is going to be on a weekend in a while. They usually typically are in the middle of the week at 9 o'clock. By the way, I hate 9 o'clock tips. That's like the worst time ever for a basketball game. But yeah, those are probably my few UNC stories that I got.
Yeah. Michael, you got any for us? And don't be, because if you say no, don't worry about
it. No, I got plenty. I mean, I remember
yes.
Not so much in football until like Russell Wilson, and he pretty much dominated Carolina, which was awesome. But in basketball, just like losing to them every single year, just twice a year. And then that 1 year, Sidney Lowe won. That was awesome. And then, over the last couple of years, we've been more successful, which is good to see. The football game in Keenan that Greg, you mentioned, I was at that game too. That was an awesome game. What else? Well, I mean, I know we're talking about Carolina, but also I have plenty of Duke stories too. I was at both I was at 2 of the 3 court stormings. One is a student, one is just a fan when we beat Duke at home. And then I was also at, I think I've talked about it before, the game in 2017 in Cameron Indoor. I had a friend who was at Duke, and he got me and another one of my friends from state into the Cameron Crazy section. But he was like, you guys have to wear blue if you want to get in. Like, they won't let you in if you're wearing anything other. So we just wore blue shirts and got in, but we're still cheering for NC State. And that's one of my favorite memories, because that was the first time we won in Cameron in years. So.
Yeah. But did we though?
What do you mean? Technically, it never happened. You're right.
Never happened, right?
Technically. What are you talking about, Mike? That's true.
In our minds, it always happened, though, right?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I still got the ticket from that game.
No, that's awesome.
And I have the their like cheat sheet. Actually, because they hand out to the students. I still have that. It's in the room. I should have brought it. I forgot about that.
Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need. Offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flatlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time wearing and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out. See, that's the thing is that I think that like for us, like for example, like we I don't like using the word hate. My mother always told me to not use the word hate. But I we all really don't like UNC. And so, but I think for Duke, it's like, we don't like Duke, but it's like a respect there. It's like, for the most part, for most state fans, I'm sure there are some state fans that really actually do not like Duke at all. But, for me, like I would definitely love to go to Cameron Indoor Stadium, just because, I feel like for any sports fan in general, it's like you got to go, because then there's no doubt it's one of the premier experiences in sports, period. Like, it's got to be. And so, but obviously right now with Coach K being there, it's way too expensive for my pocketbook. Even for any kind of non-conference game, it's still way too expensive. So, but definitely love to get there.
Too. It's so small.
It's crazy.
Really hard. It's like trying to get tickets for dope baseball, for state baseball.
Right.
It's just really hard.
But it's beautiful though. Again, it's such a beautiful stadium though, really, or arena, whatever it is. But now it is right now the Dean Dome, is a different story. First of all, parking there is atrocious, to say the least. But also so both times which I went, one was for a state game, one was when they played Miami, actually during the same year. I think it was back in 2019. Both times we sat in the upper sections. And for those who have not been there or haven't sat in the upper sections, it is literally like walking like straight up, it's literally like walking straight up. Seriously, those stairs go straight up. So it is a hike walking up those steps to in the Dean Dome. But also too, one of the annoyances as well is that, so in 2019, when we lost at UNC, so I went with my wife, and so things weren't looking well. So I was like, hey, let's go and get out of here, before, fans get out here or whatever. So we took the bus from one of the villages nearby where we had dinner, and we just left the car there, and we took the bus from there to the Dean Dome. And well, so for those State fans who haven't been to a game or don't know this, the buses don't run until the clock hits 0. So we literally got out there and we literally got on the bus and we literally had to sit there on the bus until the game ended. And I can't even tell you how many times I was literally sitting there going, can we walk there? I was like, that seems like kind of a little bit of walk, but can we walk there? But I was like, no, we can't do that. It's cold out here. It's like, no, it's way too long. So we literally waited there until basically the game hit 0 and enough fans came out for the buses to start moving. So that was like an extra, like, just stab in the heart, for all of us State fans that had to lose that game. We had to basically wait there for fans to join us to leave.
I would pay the premium Uber price.
Yeah,
no kidding.
Could have done that
to get the heck out of Dodge. So let me tell you guys one of my favorite UNC stories. Well, actually, I got 2 of them actually, but I'll give you my favorite one first. So I'm sure a lot of my close fans have heard this as well, but I'll share this. So back in 2014, this was my second year as a football equipment manager, and so it was actually in 2014. So that year, and starting that year, and basically over the next 2 years, I was basically the visiting team side ball boy. So meaning that I was the ball boy on the visiting team sidelines, which was very cool because you got to obviously you got to be beside I was actually able to stand beside guys like Jimbo Fisher, Dabo Swinney, and actually Dabo and I actually have this really funny picture where Dabo's kind of doing this like gesture, and I'm just like looking at him like this, trying to see what he's doing, but it just looks hilarious. I actually like Sammy Watkins, he actually almost ran me over one time as well, so that was kind of cool. But also too, so 2014 we played at Carolina, and it was before the UNC team ran out of the tunnel, and so me and my partner, we were standing at like 25-30 yard line, give or take, on the UNC tunnel side of the field. And we were just standing there waiting for, things to start rolling and all that jazz so we can get in position. And Marquise Williams, who was the quarterback, was walking out because he was one of the captains with one of the offensive linemen who was also the captain. And so they were walking down the UNC sideline, walking to the 50-yard line. And so at one point, I look his way and him and I make eye contact. And then we just kind of held eye contact. So he kept walking, towards, basically to cross my face, and we just kept on having eye contact. Well, so at one point, once he started getting close, I just started going, "Hey, what's up, Marquise? What's up, bro? What's up?" Just like, what's up, bro? Like, how's it going? All that jazz. And literally after he crossed me, he literally turned around to keep staring at me. And it was kind of not necessarily I'm going to beat you up. It was serious, stare, you know what I mean? And so at some point, and then eventually he turned back around and went to the 50-yard line and all that jazz. Well, so, for all I know every State fan knows how that game went for him, unfortunately, which, he got the crap beat off. He got the crap beat off him that game. Yeah. So it was actually, and so the funny thing is that, UNC got the ball to start for the second half, if I'm not mistaken. And so I was standing in front of the UNC offense because basically we kick off with our ball. And then I have to go get our ball after the kickoff for the UNC football to get thrown in. So I'm waiting there, and then all of a sudden Marquise, I didn't know it was Marquise at the time, but somebody had gone, basically hit me right on my shoulder. And of course, when you're standing on the visiting team sideline and you feel, you immediately go, "Oh my God, am I about to get beat up? What's going on?" And I turn around and it's Marquise, and he goes, and so for anybody who hasn't heard Marquise talk before, he's a very big guy that has a higher voice than you expect, which is, I always got a big, laugh out of, but he was like, so he tapped me, so he went like that. He's like, "Hey man, so I was just messing with you earlier, right?" And I was like, I wasn't really sure, man. We were into a stare off there, and he was like, "Oh yeah, no, man, we're just here to have a good time, man." And so that was always really funny. Well, so to kind of add on to that, so in 2015 they came to State, and same thing, I was on the visiting sideline, and so unfortunately, so going into that game, the one thing I was thinking about was, man, I need to go, say hey to Marquise again, just because, I mean, we had such an epic, story from the year before. Well, unfortunately, I didn't, know that it was going to start off as shaky as it did, where basically, I mean, UNC, I think, got up like 14 or 21-0 on us, without even blinking an eye. But I was like, you know what, forget it. I'm going to go do it anyway. And so at one point, Marquise comes off the sidelines. He puts his helmet on one of the on the bleachers or whatever. And I go over to him, Marquise, and I was like, hey, Marquise, I don't know if you remember me, but last year we had one of the most epic stare-offs in college football history last year. And I still remember it. I wanted to come over and say, hey. And he was like, hey, man, of course I remember you, man. How you doing, man? Hope you're doing well. And so we actually get into chatting. Well, so the funny thing that happened, I didn't know at the time, was ESPN. I think that game was on ESPN. And one of the ESPN cameras actually got us talking on TV. And so I still remember, like all my family giving me crap going, why are you talking to them? They're whooping our butt right now. You're there talking to them? And, come on. And I'm like, and I mean, obviously once I told them the story, like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I mean, it wasn't just me, just like wanting to just go like, hi, Marquise, how you doing? Like, my name's Lucas, but just like a, hey, like this was really cool last year. And I wanted to say, hey. And so, so anyway, so that was my one epic story for UNC, on top of probably, I mean, there were times for like lower level schools, like for example, like if like Richmond ever came to town and we played them, or like Old Dominion, they wouldn't have enough equipment staff to have ball boys. So meaning that we would actually have to be their ball boys for them. Yeah. And so, I mean, I will say, I mean, there were times where, we've accidentally thrown in the wrong football, wherever it may be, which was always kind of, not funny at the time because holy smokes, we heard it. But yeah, so, obviously, things were fine. Didn't really go off of that, really big deal. But anyway, so that's kind of my one big story. But anyway, so I guess the one other thing as well is, so, we're kind of rolling into the end here of our second part here. So Michael, I'll kind of ask you this. So if you had to describe a State fan in 3 words, Michael, what would you say? If you had to describe what it takes to be a State fan in 3 words, or describe them to me.
Passionate. Have some thick skin, and at least for right now, you got to be very patient. We've had some sustained success before, and it feels like we're getting back there with football. Hopefully basketball can follow up. And obviously all the other sports that we're doing well in, that have just, it just takes time.
Okay. So passionate, thick-skinned, and patient. So Greg, do you have a 3, and you can even, maybe just, you can use those exact same 3. Say, Michael, you got it dead on, even if you'd like as well.
Yeah. So I actually thought 2 of those, right? Patient was one of the first ones. Passionate was another one. If I can go with maybe my own on the third, just crazy. I mean, we have to be crazy to
be a State fan.
Be a State fan, right? And my dad and I were actually talking about this probably about a month ago. Back in the 70s, we had so many State fans. Like those were people that didn't even go to State, right? And I think even into the early 80s when we had the success with Jimmy B, somewhere in the mid 80s that changed, right? Like State fans became like you went to State, like those were the only fans that were around. I mean, there's some one-offs, obviously, like myself, but now it's like mostly State fans, I would say, or people that went to that school, just because we haven't had the success, right? Because success always brings out fans. So I think you have to be crazy to just keep doing the same thing year after year and keep coming back. And that's the one thing. Oh, you know what? Loyal. That would be the other word that I would say, loyal. We're probably the most loyal fan base you'll see. Even in the years that we were lean with O'Brien, I mean, we still had 52, 53, 54,000 and a 57,000 seat stadium. I mean, we come out, we support our team. But I think that would be the extra one that I would add on, would be loyal.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, especially too, because I mean, it's been, like 25 years since we've won a major championship of any sort. And so, I mean, for us to not only stay loyal, stay crazy, but also to still have our teams back. Cause, obviously there's other teams around, the Triangle area that'll be like, what smack do you have to talk about? And it's like, hey, listen, we beat you 34-30 at the end of the day. It's like, no matter championships, we beat you. Like,
last time we played.
Or we're not your rival. Like, I mean, how many times do you hear that? Yeah, we're not your rival.
Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah.
Get out of here. Yeah, no, come on. So, all right, guys. Well, hey, this has been fun. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Thank you all so much again for tuning in to this fun conversation here. Again, make sure, again, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Again, it's free to do and really helps support us. And also make sure you don't miss out on any of our new NC State content. Give this video a like so more NC State fans can see this content through YouTube. And also, too, make sure to give us a follow, Tuffy Talk Now, if you haven't already. We got a lot of exciting plans here coming up, a lot of exciting people that we're bringing on here for interviews, previews, you name it. So can't necessarily get into details yet, but I will definitely say you will not want to miss out. So make sure to stick with us so you don't miss out on those awesome new episodes coming up here in the near future. But hey, with that being said, as always, go Pack, y'all.